Google Maps is now getting yet another upgrade, and it's gonna be very beneficial to us all. As you might have noticed, all you get to see is the image, and then for the menu down here, you don't get much to see. It's got the image capture, it tells you the date in which picture was hung up, and then the copyright policy in the year Google. It's got terms. It even has report a problem. But when it comes to reporting a problem, you really can't request an upgrade on the pictures, because they can only go with whatever they're told in the assignment and by what they were told in the new traffic management system. And so, if you use report a problem, you have to be sure that there's something wrong with what you see, a sign that's not accurate, and you have to make sure there's an image that's inappropriate, such as a billboard that's got dirty stuff on it, or maybe something that you shouldn't be doing. If it happens to be a bad image, do report it, but there is no access to what needs to happen. And so here's something brand new. We'll start here with this picture, and in this picture what we're going to do is tell you how things are going to work out. This first one is here at Jordan River for an example. A lot of people really want to see if they can Google Drive on the river. Well, actually Google Boat, and that would actually help people go for river rides. Maybe they'll make some YouTubes on it. This particular way, so you can ride up the river, you can go for a drive and in the boat and record it as you go. In fact, Google Maps will probably want to do just that, and they pick their river pretty easily. The yellow sign that you see down here tells that it just may happen, the date they may be doing it, and then the date afterwards in which they'll be able to hang it on a website, and that way we'll know. And that's what you see in this box on the left. The box here on the right, however, you click on that and then you'll see what's going on and how things are going to work out. And so this is your first example of it all. Then you can go for drives and rides just about everywhere you think of. You won't be needing to rent canoe if you go these far, unless you want to. And here is what you will see if by any chance they have no plans to record the river. And the red box tells you it won't happen, unlike the yellow box that tells you it will happen. And that's where the finds on the left red box. On the right red box, you click on that and it'll tell you why the idea won't work out. And that way you'll know what will and won't work out. And here's another one right here. This is an overview of a couple streets that were subject to an upgrade with the looks from overhead. This one right here happens to be 800 South Avenue and 2nd East Street in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, downtown Central. And as you can see, Google Maps on the ground level has actually found that the signal has been upgraded to the overhead steel girders and the black ones too, and it's got a flashing arrow left turn lane to go with it. It doesn't say so up on the very top of the area from overhead. It really should, but it doesn't. And so what we're gonna do is when we get these boxes here, it'll tell people what's going on, and when you see what's going on, you'll know, and then you check back on that date whenever they say, and then you'll see how it goes. It's hard to say exactly when, and so if they know if it's true, you'll be able to see it for yourself. And this is what you'll see if by chance they're not going to upgrade the overhead thing. In the left box, you'll read about that, and then you'll know what will or won't happen. And here on this rectangle, on the right, you can check it out and see for yourself as to why it won't work out. And here on the ground level happens to be an intersection that a traffic signal should go. The left yellow box will tell you when there's going to be a signal there, if there's going to be one. It's just hard to tell. Might work out. Click the right yellow box and it'll tell you when it'll happen. It'll even give you some other information that you need. And here's something else. If they're not going to put an traffic signal at the intersection, it'll say so in the red box on the left. And if you click the red box on the right, you'll see why it won't work out. It may have something to do with the fact of the corners and there's no available ground for it, but you never know, it might change. And here's something a lot of us have been wanting to do for years. Google Drive down the railroad. In fact, railroad people who drive those authorized trucks who can go there will drive west or east or north or south along the railroad track and film it, so you can go for a drive down it and see what it would be like to be on the railroad. They're looking at some YouTubes that might work out for this, but it might be kind of tricky, so that'll work out. The left yellow box tells when it's going to happen if it is, and you click the right yellow box to see how many other plans there are. And if by chance they're not going to be filming the railroad, you will know it because you see it in this red box on the left. Click it on the right and you can see why. Most of the time why is because the railroad hasn't authorized their personnel to film the area, and they probably can't until they're sure that there's no naughty people trying to damage the railroad tracks. There's already enough derailments that happen by accident, and so nobody needs to make it happen on purpose. Do it on purpose, and that's twice as wrong, maybe 5 times as wrong as having an accident. And here is one of the traffic signals that still hangs on a wire. Most of them actually do have plans to be changed. There's a few that aren't. And if you know one that's going to get upgraded, the overhead steel girder, or subject to, and it's the one you see, it'll be seen in the yellow box right here, and it'll tell you when it's going to happen and when the photo will be hung up. And then you click on the right yellow box, or the yellow box to the right, and it'll tell you all about plans for each and every one of the intersections subject to that change wherever you go. It'll only do what's within the city you're in, and they keep the database, and you're permitted to see it if you need to. Now, if by chance they're not upgrading the signal to the overhead steel girder, it'll be shown up in red telling you about their plans that won't be happening. And so they won't be happening, you know it. And then you click the red box on the right to see why. Most places don't have the money to be able to do it, or maybe there's some other situations that they haven't yet tackled, and so they're trying to be sure that they can. Now here is a traffic signal at an intersection that only does one of the directions in traffic. It follows this longitudinal street of 2100 South Avenue, and the cross street here is 60th Street. That they only put the signals up over 21st, and the bike signal along 6th, and they made those on 6th approaching the intersection permitted to turn right. That doesn't seem like a thing to do for a street that only has numbers, but this would help you see how everything goes. If by chance they do have plans to add the other 2 signals, you'll know it from the yellow box on the left, and it'll say when it'll happen and when the photos will become available. The only information we have right now is they put one of these like this at 21st and 6th, 13th and 6th, and 9th and 6th this way, because they had to make sure that bikers and pedestrians could go across without having to wait so long. It's possible that they will add the other 2, the shipment just hasn't come in, and this is what you'll see if it's not planned. If it's not planned, it won't be done as accordingly. It'll just stay the way it is, and you can click the red rectangle on the right to see why, and then you'll know about it all. And here happens to be the electric and light rail route in Salt Lake County or the others. This is at one of its crossings because it couldn't be filmed between crossings. Not yet, but we'll know about it because when you get on a road and then you start driving on it, you can see what it's like going the light rail route. If you're pretty far from it and you need to know before you get on it, it'd be awfully hectic to just go there and see for yourself. And if so, they will be on this yellow box going to tell you for sure what's going on. And then as you go down the rail, you'll be able to see what it's like. Click on the yellow rectangle and then it'll tell you when it's going to happen and how far it's going to go. The light rail is actually supposed to go through the entire Jordan River Valley, all the way between the Utah-Idaho border and Richfield, if it can, and then connect to some other light rails. If it's not planned, you'll see it because they haven't really had the time to film it. And so within the red box, it'll tell you so. And when you click the red box to the right of it, it'll tell you why it won't work. And then you'll know for sure. And here are some bike trail ideas. I'm not so sure how they'll get filmed, but maybe somebody tape a camera on their bicycle and try to film it as much as they can. And then when that gets done, they'll be able to hang it up on Google to see what's going on. And if you look at the yellow box on the left, it'll tell you for sure how that works. And so then it'll tell you when. And then you can go down the bike trail virtually. I mean, people go down it all the time if they live there, but people from other parts of the world would like to see before they go. You click the yellow rectangle to the right, and it'll tell you how it's all going to work out. And if there's no plans, it'll be seen here in red. The red rectangle on the left will tell you, and you click on the right red rectangle, and it'll tell you why it won't work out. Now, look at Highland Boulevard right here. You can see that it currently stops here at 9800 South Avenue. And with this stake, we may not actually be able to picture Highland Boulevard going further south. If it does happen to be planned, what'll happen is you'll see a yellow box like this, and it'll tell you when when it's going to happen and when the photos are going to become available. And you click the yellow rectangle to get more information, and the yellow one on the right. If there's no plans for Highland Boulevard to go through or past this point, it'll say so on the red sign, and the red sign will tell you for sure that it won't work out, and you gotta be sure that you know it. Then you can take it off your list of things to see, and it would help, because then you don't have to be sorry that such a thing didn't work out. Now look at Highland Boulevard from over top here in Salt Lake County. If there's plans for it to be seen up above, they'll change the photo. Of course, in the previous one, it'll tell you for sure whether or not something like that's gonna happen from the ground view. Up here, you can see that it's just a dirt road. If you click on the right yellow box, it'll tell you for sure what the plans are, and then you can take a look for yourself and see later on. And then you can see the date in which we'll be seeing the new passage. If there's a chance that the construction's not planned, it'll show up in the red box, and then you won't be needing to worry about it. You'll never see a completion there, and that way you'll understand that whole thing couldn't work out. And here is where one of the roads would supposedly be subject to being filmed all the way to its end. Talkeetna Spur Road really should be here, as you can see it, but nobody has really authorized to do that. Not yet anyway. But with a little help, they can tell us if they have that kind of planning to see if it'll work. Where else you may be seeing this is over by the ports or the Air Force bases. If you click on the yellow box on the left, you'll see when it'll become available. Click it on the right and you can see what to expect and what other plans there are if need be. It starts with the first picture that you see. Now if they have no plans to film this all the way to Talkeetna, you'll know it because there's a red box right here on the left, and then you click the red box on the right to see why. This you'd find within like 25 to 50 feet of a guard booth to port or the military bases, and if you click on the red rectangle you'll see why. Mostly it's because our government hasn't authorized them to do it, and they probably won't. It may also have to do because it's a busy area. There's just no room for Google Maps to be there. You gotta remember, people are coming from all over the world to see this, and they have a right to know about the upgrades here, and so the system's gonna have to cooperate and get all this done, and that way, you know, people will know when to check back, what to expect if they decide to go there. Finding out for yourself will be a terrible waste of money that even the richest person on the planet could never afford. So we'll be looking out, and we'll hope that everybody gets to see these images the way they were written out here. So I'll see you later, and we will come back at a later date. Bye.